Hello friends, welcome you all in the YouTube channel of Chameli Devi Institute of Pharmacy Indore. So today I am going to discuss suspension part 2 that comes under the biphasic liquid dosage form. Let's get started. So now in this session we will discuss about advantages and disadvantages of suspension and formulation consideration of suspension. So in earlier video we have discussed the general introduction about suspension, definition of suspension including classification of suspension. So what are the suspensions? Suspension are the biphasic liquid dosage form of medicament in which the finely divided solid particle of drug ranging from 0.5 to 5 micron are dispensed in a liquid or semi-solid vehicle. So pharmaceutical suspension having various advantages that are suspension can improve chemical stability of certain drug. Some drugs are unstable in solution form, so those type of drug can be formulated in the form of pharmaceutical suspension. Example is Procan penicillin G. Next advantage is drug in suspension exhibit higher rate of viability than other dosage form. So here the sequence of viability of different dosage form. So drug is present in solution form having greater viability than suspension, and drug is present in suspension form having greater viability than capsule, compressed tablet and coated tablet. Next advantage is duration and onset of action can be controlled. Example is protamine zinc insulin suspension. And the last advantage is suspension can mask the unpleasant or bitter taste of drug. So in formulation of suspension, we can suspend a drug and can hide the unpleasant taste or bitter taste of drug. Example of these type of suspension is chloramphenicol suspension. So drug is present in suspended form rather than solution form. Now apart from advantages, there are certain disadvantages of suspension also present. So these disadvantages are physical stability and sedimentation and compaction can cause problem. So the major problem in the suspension is physical stability, sedimentation and compaction. So after the storage of suspension, after some time suspension can form hard cake due to sedimentation of particle. So these problems can cause the instability of suspension. It is bulky. Sufficient care must be taken during handle and transport. It is difficult to formulate. So in the formulation of suspension, we have to optimize the formula of suspension. So the optimization is difficult in the case of suspension. Uniform and accurate dose may not be achieved due to unequal distribution of suspended drug in vehicle. Now the formulation of suspension. So suspension having following additives in the formulation or in the preparation of suspension. First is wetting agent, suspending agent, thickener, buffers and pH adjustment or coloring agent and preservative. Let's discuss the one by one. Apart from drug and vehicle, suspension having many additives in the formulation. So wetting agents is one of the important additives that are used in the formulation of suspension. So wetting agents or substances are which reduce the interfacial tension between solid particle and liquid medium, thus producing a suspension of required quantity. This may be achieved by the adding a suitable wetting agent which is absorbed at the liquid-solid interface in a such way that the affinity of the particle for the surrounding medium is increased and interparticular forces are decreases. So the use of wetting agents allow remove this air of the surface of solid particle and to ease penetration of vehicle into the pore. So examples are alcoholic tragacanth, mucilage, glycerine and glycerol in sodium alginate. When excessive use of wetting agent may cause foaming or may give bad taste or odor to the suspension. Now the another important additives in the use of formulation of suspension is structured vehicle or thickeners. So structured vehicle are also called as thickening agent or suspending agent. Structured vehicle or thickeners are increase the viscosity of the continuous phase so that the particle remains suspended for a sufficient long time. These structured vehicle entrap the particle and reduce the sedimentation of particle. Acacia, tragacanth and sodium alginate not really used in the formulation of suspension. They are naturally occurring structured vehicle or thickener because they prone to microbial growth, so cause instability in suspension. So the semi-synthetic structured vehicle are widely used, and example of these type of semi-solid semi-synthetic structured vehicle are methyl cellulose, carboxymethyl cellulose, hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose. Now the buffering agent or buffer and pH adjusting agent. So buffers are the material which when dissolved in a solvent will resist any change in the pH of solution or suspension when an acid or base is added. Buffers are added to stabilize the suspension to a desired pH range. Example of buffers are carbonate buffer, citrate buffer, gluconate buffer and phosphate buffer. That type of buffer are commonly used in the formulation of suspension. Next additive is preservative. So preservative added to prevent microbial growth. So suitable preservatives is need to preserve suspension against bacterial growth or microbial growth. Preservative select should be effect against a wide range of microorganisms. Example of preservatives are propylene glycol, disodium EDTA 0.1% concentration, benzalkonium chloride 0.01 to 0.02% in concentration, benzoic acid 0.1% in concentration is used as a preservative in the formulation of suspension. Thank you.